Welcome! For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm Lily Wilcox and this is my dad, Tom Stewart, and we are the owners of Stellar Flutes. My dad is the founder, and he started the business when I was 8 years old. But that's fun stuff for another video. Today we wanted to talk about this beautiful new invention that we both came up with. What is this, Dad?
That is a left-handed, one-handed G flute.
So this is a flute that's meant for people who either, well, actually, it's a flute that we invented for people that don't have use of one of their hands. This one in particular is for somebody that doesn't have use of their right hand. You came up with this for a friend of yours.
Yes, he had a stroke and lost his right side, including his hand and everything else on his right side. And he was a devout flutey that really enjoyed playing the flute. He played every day.
He didn't reach out to you. It was his son, right?
Yes, his son. His son gave me a call one day or a text, and said that his dad can't play the flute anymore because of a stroke, which I didn't know about, and that he needed a flute if it was possible to make one.
He was kind of in a, he was feeling pretty down, right? Because he really actually was quite a flute player prior to the stroke, and I think his son picked up on his dad just needing something to help pull him out of being pretty depressed about having a stroke. So, and at first you actually didn't talk with your friend. You just started working on the flute, right? It was wasn't it kind of a surprise initially?
Well, yeah, I talked to his son about it and said that I'd try to see what we could come up with. That we had done this before, and we had to find the old template that we'd used, and then.
Yeah, actually, the first one-handed. I guess maybe it's not the first, but the first one-handed flute that we made in a really long time was made probably about a year prior to coming up with this template, and was made for another stroke victim who was also a student working on a flute project with the Colorado Center for the Blind, and she was not able to participate in the project because she couldn't play a 6-hole flute. So we were really quick to jump on that and say, well, we will try to make a one-handed flute for you. And we came up with a really cool template, which I think was actually quite similar to this, but it was in a key of A, so it was a little bit smaller. This is G, and you discovered that it worked better with the bigger bore size than our normal G, right?
Correct.
So this is I think a 1-inch bore size. It's a little bigger around, and it's that kind of. What was the benefit of making it in a bigger bore size?
Well, the hole pattern could stay the same as the A flute, and which we already knew that he could reach the stretch.
Okay, so
It's not real easy to play a one-handed flute. He had to work on it for a while, which made good stroke therapy too for him to learn how to use his offhand, which is he's right-handed, so learning how to do things with his left hand, the flute was great for that, and he quickly mastered the A.
Yeah, and I'm left-handed, so this actually feels really natural to me. But I'm not left-handed. I'm a left-handed flute player, I should say. One of the things that you came up with, which I don't know if you can see it in the video, I'll hold it up. The fingering holes actually have these divots sanded around them so that they're more easy to find, and that the fingers kind of settle into the holes there. And I think the original, does the one that he has have a...
He actually has two of them. One of them has the divots and the other one doesn't.
Okay, and he really thought the divots were...
He said that the divots help him locate the holes a little better and grip the flute a little better, and it also presents a tuning advantage.
And one of the really cool things is that this person lives close enough to us that my dad was actually able to go be with him in person and see how he was holding the flute, and that really helped us come up with a very good template. Helped you come up with a very good template to work with, because we have made flutes with fewer fingering holes before, but usually we have to communicate via email with people, and that can be really tricky to come up with a template. You ask, okay, well, can you measure your hand, or can you like scan your hand or something like that, and then you try to come up with something, and actually we're usually pretty successful, but this really presented a unique opportunity. So this only has 4 holes.
Yeah, it doesn't have the high hole, the top hole, which we call number 1, which would be right up
Here,
up there.
the
Yeah,
highest.
and
It also doesn't
go ahead
have
and
another
show
hole
how you would play that note without that hole.
I'll do the scale, but there's also another hole. This is a 4-hole flute, and we usually make 6-hole flutes.
Yeah.
So it's also.
Isn't it a 5-hole flute now with the 5th hole missing?
Yeah, it essentially plays the pentatonic scale, which you can play on a 6-hole flute by leaving that one third finger down from the top closed. So this is kind of more like a 5-hole flute in that respect, that it just plays the pentatonic scale very easily.
Yeah, we didn't need that hole at all, so that's one of the holes that got deleted. It wasn't necessary.
And you felt that doing it with a thumb hole didn't create that good of a voice, right? It had some weird. The thumb hole would have needed to be in an awkward place too, I think, from my recollection.
And if you're holding it with one hand, and you have all the fingers off, and you remove the thumb hole, then the flute is trapped between your mouth and your knee.
Right. So we do
which is possible, but
it's just a little less stable feeling. Yeah. But the idea is that the player can brace the flute on their leg and play with one hand. So the highest note is an overblow note, where you just cover all of the fingering holes and blow a little bit harder. Really good still. It doesn't, you definitely didn't sacrifice any of the voice quality to make it into a 4-hole flute. It's shorter than a normal G too. And I should have brought a normal G down here to show the difference in fingering hole stretch, but I have pretty small hands, and this is a really comfortable reach for me. I am using my pinky finger on the lowest hole. But actually, it feels pretty normal. It doesn't feel awkward at all. So, is there anything else that you wanted to add about the process of making this at all? Did you?
Well, now that we know how to make it, it's very easy to make, and we can do it again and again. And we've been doing a lot of work with the VA, and. So far, we haven't located any one-armed people, but there's a lot of soldiers and veterans that have less hands than
less hands or less fingers.
Yeah, less than they were born with. And
we also do a lot of work with the veterans as well. So we see this could potentially be a really good tool for therapy, and for people that lost a limb or fingers in another way too. And the original template or the flute that he was working on in the shop, the way that we come up with the template is
Trial and error.
Yeah, it's trial and error. So and you know, you just kind of basically drill a hole, and you can use existing templates. So we have a template for a key of G flute, a normal key of G flute, and we had a template for a one-handed A flute. So we just kind of shifted the fingering holes. You drill them, you try to tune them, and they don't work, and then you
can fill them with super glue.
Yeah, fill them with super glue, and then drill it somewhere else, and then try it, and if it doesn't work, fill it with super glue. And so the original template that he was working on for a while there, or the original flute, had just all these ugly holes everywhere, and glue everywhere.
It sounded great, but it looked like a
yeah, it looked like a train wreck.
Like a train wreck.
We actually make a pretty good use out of flutes that don't work for some other reason. Like, we will a lot of times fill in the fingering holes with glue and use them for experimenting with. So we actually hang on to a lot of our junker flutes for that reason, for just playing around and experimenting.
How many tubs of those do we have now?
We have an embarrassingly large collection of junker flutes. It's just really hard to put the flute in the fireplace when it doesn't work out. So we have big tubs in the back room full of failed flutes, and we're just gonna save them for a little while longer. But you actually, you know, pull them out every now and then, and they make a really good.
Good experiments.
Good experiments. Good when you think of something. Oh, I wonder how that would work, and you want to just kind of fool around with it. So that was kind of the beginnings of this. Come here, Vera. You want to say hi?
That way we don't have to scrap perfectly good blanks to make for the so-called trial and error, which is mostly error.
Almost no flutes were harmed in the making of this template. All right. Well, I think that kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
But we would. Well, I just expect everybody wants to hear us ramble.
Mm-hmm.
We would really love your insight on what you think about this idea. If you have someone in mind that might benefit from a flute like this, we would love to hear about it. So leave us a comment, or if you have our email, you can email us. I try to check the comments fairly regularly. If you have questions, if you know somebody you think that this would benefit, let us know. We're really interested. I hope you guys enjoyed this video.